to meet this, this goal, the better. And I would also encourage Virginia Energy and frankly the Commonwealth to use the word clean at its heart of its definition. Right now, most of what I see relies on renewables, and I think, just is more my personal opinion than anything, but we're not going to get there if we're only relying on one or preferencing, excuse me, one resource over another and not just letting the technology develop as it goes, and we truly do stick with kind of least cost. So anyway, very much appreciate the update, and we'll continue to help provide our perspective.
All right, thank you.
Great. Okay, so yeah, I would just, for this group, I think we will probably want to keep focused on this because I really do think that the demonstrations of new technology in the nuclear space outside of the Commonwealth is really going to have a pretty big impact. I hope some of it's actually going to be happening here too. But I think we're going to need to be a little bit of an information pipeline to the both Virginia Energy, the governor's office, the legislature, to help them understand what's the latest in terms of technology development and cost and all of those things, so that we make sure this is a resource that is captured. So,
Tom, can we ask staff to keep us aware of how these conversations are going and if there's any other opportunities for public comment as well?
Yes, that's a good point. I was just going to mention, I think we should put this on as just a standing agenda item for our meetings going forward, just to whatever the latest is. And if there are things in between meetings that we should be engaged on, that would be great if we can get things, that'd be fantastic. Okay, so the next step, I'll turn it over to April. She wants to update us on a proposal effort that's been ongoing.
So I've told you over the years that we've been having conversations with Virginia Economic Development Partnership, and those conversations have continued. And as in August, we met with one of the leadership there and with our board, and we discussed the current industry and possibilities with advanced nuclear. And they were very interested in what they heard, and they saw this Build Back Better economic development grant through the Department of Commerce, and they thought that would be an opportunity for us. And so as an industry, we got together. We did it in about 5 weeks. The grant application was due last Tuesday. We put together a proposal, and really the proposal is setting up a foundation to build and manufacture possible a small modular reactor here in the state. The projects include site characterization, supply gap, curriculum, education initiatives, just public education. And the grant wants to focus on areas that have been hit by coal and COVID. So sites that are possible will probably be in the Southwest if the grant happens. The phase 1 for the grant we'll find out by December 8th of this year. Phase 2 application is due, I believe, March 15th. So we saw this as just a really good opportunity for us to come together and to put some ideas down. McKinsey helped us put together the proposal. We also had some other writers from the industry help us. It's a really good document. You know, this may not be the perfect fit with this grant, but I think if it's definitely, there may be other opportunities for the proposal that's been put together. Did I miss anything, Tom?
I don't think so. I would like to say thank you. There's many companies and organizations on this board that actually had members of their organizations engaged with April, but also big kudos to April. Frankly, this is a pretty big effort on a very short timeline. 5 weeks sounds like a lot, but it's really not when you're pulling together this this much effort. So I think, again, it was a very good exercise to try to organize key stakeholders within the Commonwealth to try to think about how do we get our arms around some of this advanced nuclear next generation opportunities that we talked about in the strategic plan that, you know, has really been, I think, a priority for this group. So, you know, well, fingers crossed. I think I thought it was a very good proposal. I think it's got some very appealing things if I were reading it, but obviously biased. So, you know, we'll see where it goes with the Commerce Department. I would encourage you, if you're interested, reach out to April so she can provide you a copy of the proposal. And if you have conversations not only with peers in the industry, but frankly, you know, legislators and others, I think it's a good idea to let them know that this is something that this group and this Commonwealth is focused on. Because I think it's, again, even if it's not this grant, there's going to be future opportunities to bring this type of a consortium together. So
yeah, I really like the fact that we just started with the foundation. I mean, and looking at not just building a small modular reactor, but also how to manufacture and looking at the economic development opportunities.
So Tom, in light of our role, would it not make sense for this group to get a copy of it as opposed to individually having to go to April and ask for it?
actually, yeah, I just wanted to make sure, Brandy, that's okay. But I think, I think if April wants to send a copy, I think that does make sense. That's probably the easiest way rather than having to go. Yeah. So we will do that. Okay. Great. And again, we'll probably have more information about that hopefully before our year-end meeting. And then the next steps, if it's accepted in phase 1, phase 2 will be another sprint. So
it will be another sprint.
Yeah. Okay, so April, we're going to stay with you. This is all kind of in light of, I would say, the VNEC update, because these are all the major activities that VNEC's been undergoing. But do you want to give us an update on the Research and Innovation Hub work?
The hub, putting together the proposal for the hub is still ongoing. Throughout this last year, I've had the university members meet with industry to discuss the needs that for a hub. And so we've been doing that. We have had one meeting with the working group. I did the working group with a draft proposal. We got a lot of comments back. From those comments in the working group meeting, and also because of this grant, we hired a writer to help us put together the proposal for the hub. And so that is ongoing. Hopefully we'll have a draft to share with everybody in a couple of weeks. But it's getting closer. Honestly, I think the grant application helps in some ways in putting the proposal for the hub together. So it's kind of all good timing. We are a couple weeks behind. The proposal is actually due November 1st. We will not make that November 1st deadline, but we're trying to get it done as soon as we possibly can. And the state has been notified that we are running behind.
So in terms of next steps for this group, I think, we've already voted to have VNEC manage the process, which has been fine, which has been great. I do think it would be worthwhile for members of this body just to be able to review and provide comments, even though I think most everybody has a representative that's been, or not everybody, but many have representatives that's been helping as part of the working group effort. So I think the most efficient thing would be to have Brandy provide a report electronically to members to provide comments back, and we'll, through Virginia Energy, to provide that feedback back to April. And then depending on the next step after that, April, is that the draft would then go to the governor's office for review. Is that correct?
After we get everybody's comments, we'll probably have the working group look through it one more time and give their seal of approval. and then we'll send it to the governor's office, or the Department of Commerce.
Yeah. And then the next step would be the legislature?
The legislature.
Correct.
Now, remember, there's nothing, we're not expecting anything back from the state. This is just handing this proposal over. Everything that we do moving forward is on us. So, however, whatever the plan is, and if there's any funding needed for the hub, any of that will be on us to educate the legislators and go to the legislature to see what we can do about getting funding, if needed.
Is that clear for everyone? So I just ask that as you see the proposal from Brandy, that you take some time with your organization to provide any comments back. I think, like I said, a lot of this feedback's already being funneled in through the working group, which is great. But if there are any comments further, that you get those back to Brandy and April in a timely fashion so we can move this along. Are there any other questions about the status of the hub proposal?
The only thing I also will tell you, the writer we hired, she has a lot of experience in putting together hubs. She has a lot of experience in putting applications and grants to the Department of Energy. She has been a great resource for the universities to help us focus on putting the best proposal together we can.
And I'll just add one more thing. I think the timing of this is really great. The current leadership at the Department of Energy, especially the Office of Nuclear Energy, is looking for entities and consortiums like this, not just individual universities or research institutions to partner with. So I know April and I've had conversations with DOE about this concept, and it's very appealing to them. So I think there's a real good opportunity for the state to leverage this coordination, not only with the Virginia legislature, but also the federal government going forward. So I think this will be very, very productive once we're over the finish line here.
Yes. Getting all these reports done this year would be nice.
Okay, so the last, I'm going to change the agenda just slightly. I think, why don't we go to the meeting minutes and just dispense of the past minutes before we jump into the report for the
There's a revision that Grant sent through. Can you pull it up on the computer so that the board can review it? I just sent it to you.
You did.
And essentially,
There's the specific spot, Ryan?
it's just the first paragraph. It's just basically stating the nature of why the meeting was held virtually due to the state of emergency. It's just offering further clarification.
Yeah, now I praise that language, just that the provision of the budget bill under which we are meeting back during the state of emergency requires that certain things be included in the meeting minutes, and so that just happens.
Okay, so why don't we take a few minutes. So that's, I think the hard copy that you have in your packet is relevant because this is just an addition. So let's take a couple minutes. I know Scott had found one thing, so just read over these, and if we have any changes in addition to this, we can vote on this.
Speaker Jeremy Harrell. At the very end, I just think you need to just modify this just so it's factually correct. I'm guessing maybe we're just missing a word here. Harrell also discussed new federal programs such as Energy Department's Advanced Reactor Demonstration Program award. You should have the word "and" inserted, since they're two separate programs. and 20 million for advanced reactor concept. You might even want to add the word awards after concepts as well, just to further clarify, since it's two separate sets of awards actually.
I think that's actually a hyperlink, if I'm not mistaken.
It is.
Just to give more
So
detail.
I actually had to click on, not on this one, but just a few days ago, the news release that this links to also has backlinks to the previous ARDP award, so you'll get there.
Yeah, gotcha.
Gotcha, okay. Okay, so then I guess,
I mean, if you want to leave it, that's
I
fine.
guess
I'm
we should
just saying
leave it
ours-
then. That makes
our
sense, since
separate-
that's not our, it's not our
They're separate
type.
budget line items,
Right.
separate programs, and
Yeah.
separate, sets of monies, if you will, for appropriations.
So,
Well,
final
so-
word on this is leave as is.
So just to make it easier, and because I agree that the ARDP is not what this news release was about. I mean, you can get there from there, but it's not. So how about discuss new federal programs such as the Advanced Reactor Demonstration Program, and then put the hyperlink in parentheses?
That's fine.
Because that's really what the discussion was about. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and then take off the 20 million for advanced reactor.
Well, that's all the title. That's the.
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
the
I'm saying, should we
hyperlink.
just, should we rewrite that portion, and then put the hyperlink in parentheses after?
Right.
Okay, so why don't we, we'll rewrite it as Scott had mentioned, so the Energy Department's Advanced Reactor Demonstration Program Awards, and 20 million for Advanced Reactor Concept Awards, and then let's put parentheses, and we'll link to the article. Does that make sense? Okay, great. Any other changes? Okay. And I think, is anybody, I think we're all good with grants change as well? Okay. So can I get a motion to adopt the minutes with changes?
So moved.
Second? Second. Great, John. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Great. Okay. All right. So everyone now has a copy of the annual report draft. This was what Brandy sent out last week as well. You should also have the VNEC update addendum that will be included in the report. So what I would like to do, so we have an update on the meeting held in April, some of the activities related to the hub proposal. We've updated it to include much of still the kind of guiding recommendations that were laid out in the strategic plan, as those are still relevant, even though some are being implemented, like the hub work. And then there's the regular updates for organizations on the board and other key nuclear entities in the Commonwealth. So why don't we still take a few minutes if folks, as I imagine not everybody's had a chance to read through this fully, but if you have, that's great. But let's take a few minutes and you can kind of scan through this, and then I would like, the areas I think we need to focus or would like to make sure we're including is any updates that are relevant for your organizations during the past year, so we're including those, and then any changes we had or additional recommendations you'd like to be including in kind of our introduction and the key activities and recommendations for the legislature. So why don't we just everybody take a few minutes? So if you haven't already had a chance to provide those updates, we can do that now.